Hey, and welcome back to another video building this task, this streak tracker. So we've got one last feature that we want to actually add, and that's going to be the ability to track our streaks. We've got the ability now to click how many items we have done, and it will automatically kind of show that they're not done if we haven't clicked. But we actually want to also see, well, what's our current streak and what is our best streak. So there's there's a question of where do we want to actually make this calculation. So I was thinking about this some. We could definitely take this and do this calculation in our API. Every time you click or unclick, we could display this value. But I was thinking a little differently now. I said, hey, let's keep our routes a little bit leaner. Let's not do these server calculations. We don't want, should be a really quick calculation to actually do in the browser. And the bad part why we would not want to do this is if somehow we wanted to sort or something by these calculated fields. If we ever want to do that though, we could move this logic to the back end pretty easily. So for now, I think we'll just do this in the front end, this calculation, and we'll just display them. So let's go ahead and get started with that. We've got our front end up today. We've already got our Docker Compose up, and so the first thing we're going to do is how is this going to look? Um, we could have our we could have just a new column here that says best. Maybe we'll just do it very simple. We'll just add another column essentially, and that will say best and current. Maybe we'll say current, and then we'll have best. So let's open up our components and we'll just display something, and then we'll do our calculation after. So app task list, and this is going to be on our task list itself. And right at the bottom of this, these are our buttons, and then we will have something. What we'll do is, I think we'll make another component, and this will be called, we'll take this entire component in, and we'll call this streak. We'll call this our task streak summary. Okay, so task streak summary. It will take in a task, and it'll just take the one task, and this is going to be a stateless item. We'll do the calculation and then we'll display them at the end there. So there's really nothing in here that we need. And for now, we're just going to return something very simple, like we'll have a span. We'll call this current streak, and we'll just say 4, and then we'll say longest streak 10. Sure, that sounds good. And we will pass after this div here, that is for each task. Yeah, so right here we'll have our task, and there we go. So now we're adding this over. So this is an interesting thing. Because this is not a real table, we are centering this. This has gotten bigger, and so we've actually shifted this over. And so how are we going to actually fix that? It's interesting that we have a flex row MR8. If we wrap this entire item in one of these, do we get some better results? So flex row, justify end, width, it would be margin left 8. Okay. So current streak. Oh, and because this is a flex, it's gonna turn those over to the right like that. And because our width is there, we could do 400 pix width. That's gonna make that bigger, but that's gonna shift us over like this. And so this is actually one of the downsides of putting these as part of this row. Because we have this row here, and we'll move me up a little bit. Because we have this row and then we're centering our entire row in it. Oh wow, our HTML really gets pretty ugly when we're like this. Perhaps we can actually just relative this. I mean, this is another way, and this is probably not the best idea, but we could do display, let's just do a style, and then display, we'll say an absolute, and does that take away our width? No, it does not, but we can do a right. So if we do the right 0, what happens? What if we do a fixed? Oh, we're going to do style. We're going to be doing it relative to R. So style, position, relative to this. We want, is our left. And we are going to go absolute. Can we actually get this pushed over? Can we flow? I'm trying to see if I can find some way of kind of tricking that to go over there. And it's the interesting part to me is, so that's like that. Well, how did we get this guy to come on and this doesn't actually? So this does move, and that's the curious part. This does shift left when we remove our width there. And so that's really interesting, because how did we actually, did we have to do some extra logic to kind of have that not be included? So we have this one diff, and this is a flex. We're flexing the entire row. But I wonder if perhaps we take these outside of the div that needs to be flexed. And what if we, so these are all, we could take all of these items and we can, maybe we could center all of these items and then put a padding in between. And then these should, if this is centered, which it does not look, but if we take this entire thing and center it on the page, because if this is centered, we really should be about right here in the midpoint, and we're not. So let's ask ChatGPT. Let's start a new ask in how to center multiple divs using Flexbox. Okay, so we've got our parent, justify content center. So justify center. Okay, so that's there. Then we're going to take all of these items. So this is going to be a child. So all of those items. However, this parent will be a flex. Okay. So justify center. Let's see what else this is saying. Okay, use on the container to enable Flexbox. This will, okay. So our items, we are centering those. We don't really need this justify center though for these items, right? I mean, all these items really should just be as big as the container. So even this, is this really needed? It looks like it is. So we're centering everything. Item center. Do we need this? No. Okay, so what we're trying to do with this guy is centered on the entire page. And we want this whole thing to be centered on the page too. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. How to center 3 divs with different sizes using Flexbox. We want our middle div. How do we do the above when the width of the, okay, well this has different boxes. Let's do a test. So we have, let's do justify center. This is basically what we're doing here. And in this justify center, we'll just say, we'll have another div, class name. And this is saying we're gonna do a height of 8. No, let's look up how to do our bigger. So we're gonna do a height, they'll all be 50. And then a width of 100 pixels. And then we'll do a text, we'll do a background. We'll do sky 500 for the background. This guy will be 200 and this guy will be 400. And what we want to do is center, but we want there to be some padding. So how do we put padding between Flexbox center? You can use the margin property on the items themselves. Well, I thought there was a way to, I suppose we could do that. So this would be, we'll just do margin 12 around the whole thing, around each of them. Let's see. So this is centering their entire container, but I want this box to be the focal point. How to make the second box center align with the page. So we've got box 2. Align items to the start. So this is not actually, box center is in the auto, and then the other ones have margin potentially. Okay, so let's see if we can do that. So we're going to do justify start, and then our middle guy is going to have a margin auto. So this is ML auto and MR auto. And let's see what this looks like. So we're still not, so let's come back and see if we're missing anything. So we're not, we don't have a full container for our Flexbox, so potentially that is our problem too. So let's do width 100. Can we do 100% like this? This still does not look centered to me, truly. And maybe it's because of these autos, but that is definitely not centered on the page. I see that our width of everything is 100. Oh, I see this width full here, so we can actually just use that as well. And let's remove our margins here. And let's see, okay. So we're still not aligned. How to center div. How to center a center div within multiple divs in a Flexbox. Let's see. And so maybe what we're doing wrong here, maybe we need to just center this guy, and then these others can be, if we know the size of this in theory, we can also do a position relative, I believe, to this and know. This is interesting. And this is really all coming because of the style in which we've displayed this table. And now we're trying to add different columns to the table, and we're getting all these problems, of course. So, we want to center. Let's continue to ask ChatGPT. The first and third boxes will be aligned to the start and end of the container. This centers the second box, and this doesn't seem so, this approach centers the second box in the flex container. Let's see if I remove our other boxes. So if I remove these guys, now we're actually centered, and then adding these actually moves our others. So what if we did a float left here? See, we're still there. We do a relative and a left. Fixed. Okay, so if we do a fixed, it works, but now if we look, it's sitting in the same spot and no longer scrolls. Justify start. So what about justify between? If we do this, justify, what are the other classes here? Justify evenly, self end, justify evenly. let's remove this left. And let's remove this margin auto. Okay, so that puts them evenly, but what we want is we want this guy centered. Flex. I mean, I suppose what we could do is put, if we made the width of our center guy a certain width, if we just made him 800 picks and made the other guys 200 picks each, that would center him perfectly. So we can see that. So I mean, that is one of the options as well, to just grab this entire container. It's 1240 and just do 1240. And we should see, so justify center and 1240 picks. And then let's do a margin. So ML 12, MR right 12. And oh, and this is still not actually 1240 picks. Is that how big this is? This is 12. This is 1240 picks. So what if we remove these? Is that the same size as our? No, and in fact, is this not centered? Have I been wrong all along? And if we looked at this entire item, is our other header up here? Maybe this guy is not centered, and that's the problem. He's not centered. Okay, so maybe that's the problem. So let's go to our, let's bring me down, and monthly days header, and we have this width here. Oh, so this is actually affecting things. So there's that, and are we centered now for this? That looks centered, and that looks centered. And our container, yes, okay. So maybe we were okay before. And let's come back to our task list. And so we have this 200 pixels here, but what we can do is, instead of having just this pixels, we could actually stick this entire thing and make this whole thing 1240 pix with an ML left of that and an MR right of that. Remove our width here, or I suppose our width is fine actually. Even this justify row, justify end. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, and then we want to put another one of these at the end of our table. So we want to uncomment this whole thing and put this div. So this is going to be, we don't really need all these justify anything here. Maybe we do. Okay, so that actually adds that. So current streak and longest streak. And what happens if we make this 400 instead? Okay, and what happens if we make this 400? Now our problem now is that, so this would be justify start, and that's here, and also we want to do align middle. Is that going to make our items in the middle? No, and in fact we have this really slight problem here. let's actually get rid of our huge big sky thing. That looks good. So maybe we won't even have those say current and best. We'll just have them say, so last thing before we move out of here. I really don't like this, but you know, I think this UI will say good enough currently. So 300 and 300. And then we're gonna do, instead of current streak, and we'll just do a current. And then we'll do a class name m left of 8. All right, and we definitely want to. How do we let's look at how are we centering our content in the dead center. It looks like item center, justify center. Okay. Let's look at what text large. Do we want this text to be large on the end here? So we won't do current, we're gonna say best. Best. And let's do class name, text large, text large. I think that looks good. These are also not aligned very well, are they? You know, because I keep, and this whole page is not going to be responsive at all. We're going to have to redo some of this. This is the problem with really just kind of coming up with a design as we go. Let's see if we can move this to the right so we don't continue to, how do I move this whole dock over? Get me out of the way here. Let's put this over here. There we go. Okay. So what we want to do is we will, you know, we're not even going to worry about that. We're not going to worry about, and here's another thing. We are not, let's pull in our margins here. Why is our margin so far away? That's my question. Margin left and right is 12. Let's lower that down to a ML. So let's lower these down to an 8. And that looks good. And let's work on getting these streaks actually accurate now. That's what we came here to do, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have something that says let current streak equal 0. And then we'll have another one that says let best streak equal 0. So the first thing we're going to do in this is we are going to completed at dates. That's perfect. And we'll have task.completed at. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort this. And sure, we will sort it like that. That looks good to me. Okay, so we'll sort these. Let's see if these are in order now. So we'll see what, so get time is not a function. So we'll do a new date of A, new date of B. Okay, and then let's go to our, and let's see, are we getting these in order? So we have 1, 3, so we are going reverse order. So what we'll do is we'll make this B of A. we want this to go from our current date and then back. And so now, if we refresh, we are seeing 26, 23, 21, and we are going backwards in order like that. Okay, so let's actually think about how we find our current streak first. So we're going to make this a let and our current streak. This is going to be set. What is this? It's consecutive day. Holy moly, look at all this. Current streak. Oh, that's... I wonder if this is actually true. That's actually really funny. This just found, what about if we found our best streak? Let best streak. Let's let it see if it can just figure this out for us somehow. And we're gonna have this be best streak. This is just insane, ChatGPT, and obviously something. Okay, best is obviously wrong here, because best is much. This is simply just doing it the same as current, but yeah, that is crazy that ChatGPT can even figure that out alone. Okay, so let's see why it's not including our current date. So we have our completed at date is I. When we logged it out, we were doing our first day. Interesting. I think what I would like to do instead of this is I'd like to just take these complete let dates and throw them in a set. Well, let's just get rid of this. That is pretty amazing that I can do that easily. But I'd rather just put this in a set. And so yeah, we're going to map. We're going to get complete let. Then we're going to, let's get this as a map. And this is going to be date. Except what we want to do, we're going to take this whole thing and throw this in a set, a string set, and it's going to look like this. So this is time, but this is, yeah, it's going to be a string. Except what we're going to do is we are going to take our date to date string. What I want to do is we want to have a very standardized date, and so it'll look, we're going to store in here, this will look like YYY, month, day to day. So let's see if we can, this will actually just finish that for us. Split T. I don't know what that is. Let's even see. I know we can just go get this string somewhere else, but maybe it's already doing it. Yeah, it is. So here's our set of days. And so what we're going to do is first we're going to get we're going to do our current day. So we're going to get, in fact, what we don't want to do with this is, yeah, but we don't, maybe we will do, I think we're going to have a function, and this will say get streak of days and set, we'll call this. And this will be, we'll take in a date and we'll take in the set. And what we'll do is, there we go. That's really scary looking. We'll just do let I equal 0 and I plus plus, and while I is less than 1,000, we'll continue this. So the first thing we'll do is we will get, so let our current streak is this day, and let our, so it's, and then what we'll do is we're gonna have to iterate over all of our task completions. And this will be a completed at. And this will be let best streak equals 0. And then we'll have streak of days and set. Those are, and then we'll say if streak yes, then we'll put that. And then let's see if this actually works here. Best 5, best 7. Okay, this actually looks really good. So our current is 0. So if we put this in, our turn's 2, 3. If we click that, bam, they go 5. So if we come back here, go there, 3. Now our 7. Okay. Okay, so this actually looks great. Current best. We just used ChatGPT. I think we could figure this out. It's not like it's that crazy. But so yeah, we have a max amount. It's not really a hack. It just is. This isn't a hack. It's just, that's what this is for. This is to prevent infinite loop. I mean, we know that. We know that. You know, we'll just do const maxed. These types of things I'll always like to actually use instead of putting these random integers in. We'll have what this is actually really saying. Hey, our max streak is 1,000. Okay, so we just use ChatGPT to do some of that logic, which is, it's just crazy. Like, we could have thought of how to do this, and maybe our brain really should, but it just wrote it for us. So let's come back and, okay, so our streaks are done. Now, another thing I want to point out right now is that we are not recognizing our months properly. So first off, if you notice, we can't actually post to that. So it's just not displaying, we aren't going back in time and completing these. So we have our current date, but we're not actually showing before. So I think the rest of this video, let's go ahead and just fix this so this is working entirely as we expect, and then we'll call it. So let's, for now, let's just, we'll make a commit, and then we'll call this add ability to calculate streaks in front end. We're not in a repository, so there's nothing to push. So our list is not moving with our date. So the first thing we'll notice is these aren't being present. So let's go and fix that first. And that is in our app task list, and that is in our task list itself. And so task days to complete. So is at current month and year and the day. Okay, I see this border, but task to days completed, task to days not completed. And so in these, we are just not we are not going past the, so not completed days. We should be getting this value, task days are completed. And in fact, I think what we'll do is we can echo these out or log these out. That's some language from my old PHP days to echo things out. Not sure why this is complaining here. Build failed, missing semicolon in our task list. Okay, so we see these are days completed. And this is not actually taking into account, is this okay, so this function is in, but we're not, when we go back, are we not re-rendering? Okay, so I see it has nothing. There's no days completed when we just know that that's actually false. And so let's figure out why that's the case. So let's get this guy here. So if our completed at month and completed at is our selected month. So let's just log out some of these values. So let's log out our, completed at. Then let's log this guy, and then let's log this guy. New date. All right, so here we go. Is 0. Everything is 0 on all of these. Does that make sense? And this is supposed to be getting our month, and our month is 0 on every single one of them. What we'll do is let's make a new task, and we're just going to call it test. And what we'll do is we'll only log if task.name equals test, then we'll log these out. So at first we should get no logs. 115, we're still logging out some other stuff. So let's remove this. So we don't see anything, but now when we come back and we click, we'll do the 20th of December. So let's go back, and so December 2023, we are getting, where are we logging? So our selected month year is, so let's actually also log out console.log selected month year. So let's do that. So our selected month year is January 27, 2024. And then when we go back, we're doing December 27, 2023. And our first thing we're logging out is our completed at get month, which is, the interesting thing is we really should have only received, okay, we're only really logging one item. And so we have, when we clicked this, we notice we unclick this, we click, and it's on the 20th. So when we unclick, so when we go back and click the 20th, we look, we're not here. We go and we click the 20th, and it shows up. So when we click this, we are just simply not storing anything in here, and that's our first problem. So let's fix that, and that's going to be when we completion to delete. I think that is okay, perhaps, but what we definitely want is our task UID completed, and we're doing our current year, our current month, and our day. But what we really want is our selected month, year. Okay, and maybe that is our problem. Selected month, year. Get month. Alright, so now if we refresh, we're gonna undo that guy. We're gonna come back here and we're gonna click, and now those are starting to show up. And if we go forward, they are no longer there. So that's definitely what we want. What we also want is our non-completed days. So let's remove our logs. And what we don't want here is we don't want our non-completed days, which are going to be task days not completed, days in month. If our current is less than that, so what we want to do is we only want to put, this is definitely, so this is non-completed days, completed dates. If we have the I, days and month. Yeah, this is just straight up wrong. Oh, okay, so if it's not in our completed dates, then it's not. So this should be pretty simple. And that is, okay, if our current year, current month, if the day is less than our current day, or if it's greater than or equal to our current day, this is going to be our selected month, year, get full year, and selected month, year, get month. Okay. Remove that. Okay. So here we are here. If we come back, yes, we see all of them. And so let's see if this will actually, so now it's 5. What if we come here? Is it stay 5? Yes. So let's actually see if we can do, we'll do something that's even better. Now our best is 15, and we'd have to look and find where. Now it's 17. All right. We noticed something else. It looked like these just switched in order, and yeah, okay. So that's going to be it for today. We've got our current and our best. We've fixed another bug back here. And so this is the base of our project. Now there's a couple small other issues that we're going to want to still take a look in. First, I think we want this order to remain static. So we'll add a migration in our next video to make these stay where they are, so they don't just change place every time. Actually, maybe we won't. Maybe we won't do that because maybe we'll allow the ability to drag these or move them up and down. Maybe that makes more sense. But what we're gonna also need to do pretty soon, as if you look at this page, you'll notice one main thing, and there is no authentication. And so there's one set of tasks, and they're not even tied to users. Well, we're gonna need to change that, and so everybody can log in. And well, first, nobody can log in and just change your completions and stuff. But yeah, put all our tasks behind a single user, so those are protected. So we're gonna work on that. Some preliminary thoughts on that is I think we're gonna use try to use like login with Google, and we're gonna see how that works. It's been a very long time since I've set any authentication up or anything like that. So we'll do that. We'll have to get our tests working with logins. We'll have to modify all of our routes to use the user, and we'll have to modify all of our existing schemas to actually include the user as well. So that might take a couple videos to get set up, but I'm looking forward to doing that because that's really, besides some additional maybe cleanup, I think that'll be the last major feature that we're going to add until we start doing the DevOps related portion of this, where we actually start taking this and try to get it deployed, try to get our tests ran automatically, and some things that are going to be new for me, but really part of the more professional suite of how to do things. So that said, I will see you next video. See ya.